Are we recording? I can talk?
Yeah.
Oh, exciting. Okay. Welcome, everybody. All 8 of you. Just to begin with, we have roll call.
First of all, this is the Lake Balboa Neighborhood Council's Land Use Committee, and it is May 16, 2022. And the chair is Tom Riley. Go ahead, Tom.
Okay. We'll have roll call. I'm here physically. Gwen is here.
Yes,
And
I'm here.
Elle is here. And everybody else is a guest, right? Linda?
Gwen, Miguel, and you.
Right, everybody else is a guest.
That is correct.
Guess who they are? Adoption or approval of the agenda. Is the
You
agenda?
can't do it. You don't have quorum.
Oh, well, there goes that vote. Approval of the minutes. We can't do that. Of course, we can approve the minutes because there was no minutes. Items for discussion. Discussion on Haynes Walkway. This has been something going on in the neighborhood for a while. It goes over the Bull Creek. The Bull Creek.
It's a pedestrian overcrossing.
Huh?
It's a pedestrian overcrossing. Crosses
Yeah.
over Bull Creek
Right.
on Haynes.
Well, oh, okay, because over Bull Creek. But anyways, it's a Haynes Street. And there was, it was closed down back about 2000, 2003, because there were drugs and other things going on. And then in 2010, the city passed an ordinance or a vote, whatever, to tear the walkway out and be done with it. And in 2022 and 21, it was still sitting there. So Gary Kay evidently worked with the community on the east side and a little bit on the west side to see if there was interest to have it reopened, or someone had come to him and asked if they could reopen it. And so the community over in there got involved and worked their way through it, etc. And that brought in Leanna, and she did some extensive work on the project, as well as Gary, but Leanna did a lot of door knocking, got a lot of information. And so I have asked her to make the presentation on what the final results of her survey study really plans on doing with the project. So with that, Vienna, it's your show.
Okay, good evening, everybody. My name is Viana. I'm the Lake Balboa Field Deputy for Council District 6. And as Tom mentioned, yes, I did a lot of work on the Haynes pedestrian footbridge, Bull Creek pedestrian bridge. There's a couple different names for it. But basically, this bridge is to the northeast of the intersection of Victory and Balboa. And it is off of Haynes, hence the name, of course, as Tom mentioned. I think the only thing that I can add to the history of the bridge is that it was originally constructed in the 1960s as a means for children on the east side of the bridge to access schools on the western side. So that was the original purpose of the bridge, and it was closed, and likely due to crime or other safety related issues. It's a little vague, But since those years, since the early 2000s, there's been a couple of different community groups that have wanted to open this bridge. And I think they tried in the later 2000s and it failed. And they tried in the last couple of years, which is where I came in. And I basically knocked on every single door to the east and west side of this bridge, spoke to hundreds of people about their thoughts, feelings, and considerations on the bridge. And I took a vote as well as I could. So as you know, in municipal elections, there's about a 10 to 15% voter turnout. And on my little bridge project, we had a response rate of about 40%. So 40% of people living around the bridge responded. And they voted to keep the bridge closed. So 45.2% of people that responded wanted to keep the bridge closed. Only 33% wanted to open it. And about 22% had no opinion. And many of those people who had no opinion or no strong feeling about it wanted to err on the side of safety for the people who lived closest to the bridge, since they would be most impacted by the bridge's reopening. And so I took a separate survey just of people directly next to the bridge on either side. And the 54.4% of people close to the bridge wanted to keep it closed, which is a clear majority. And only 28% of people living next to it wanted it open, with the rest having no opinion. So those are the rough results of my community polling that I did in the area. Since then, the main groups that wanted to open this bridge kind of subsided, and I think they're accepting for now that it will remain closed. And I've heard many proposals on upgrading the lights or beautifying the little cul-de-sac, maybe adding some plants, because I do agree with the community, and I think everybody is on the same page that it's a bit of an eyesore. No one likes to look at an empty bridge every single day. That's just concrete and a basic fence around it. So I have spoken to Gary Kay about different ways we can beautify the bridge, and I have a giant list of notes from the community of different ways that we could proceed. Our office hasn't officially done anything, but there's often grants that open up throughout the year for projects that would work perfectly in this area. So I will definitely loop in the neighborhood council the next time that there is a proposal for such a thing. And I've already been having discussions with Gary about this bridge, since he's lives very close to it as well. So that's about it, unless you have any specific questions I could address.
I just want to clarify for those that don't know, Gary Kay is a Lake Balboa Neighborhood Council board member, and he is also a Neighborhood Watch block captain in that area, and that's how he got involved initially.
Okay. Amanda, thank you very much.
Steve Leffert has a comment or question.
Yeah, has anybody investigated whether or not wildlife is using the bridge to get across from one side to the other? Like coyotes, skunks, raccoons, possums?
I think the fence doesn't allow for it. There's a fence on both sides.
Well, how high is the fence? Coyotes can jump.
It's at least 6 feet.
Okay,
It's a huge fence.
all right, I haven't looked at it since before it was fenced.
Well, it's not a huge fence, it's a high fence. But anyways, it's the same thing.
And the last thing that the city council did with that footbridge was they voted funds to have it demolished, but it's never been funded, or, you know, I don't know where the funds went, but it's still there.
And it probably will stay there for a while. And when the end, we want to say congratulations on getting your master's degree. And we hope you have a wonderful time this coming Saturday. Although
Thank you very much. I definitely learned a lot from people like you in the community, so I appreciate all of you.
Yes.
And don't go anywhere.
Oh, no, you got me.
Okay, great. Gwen, did you have your hand raised?
No, I was looking for the hand clap icon,
Oh,
not on here. so. Just to
yeah, we'll do it like this.
Deanna. Yeah.
Thank you.
Moving on, we have 16061 Van Owen Street. This project was brought to us last year. And basically what they were asking for were three things. They wanted, the property in question is a store. It's on the northeast corner of Woodley and Van Owen. They have been there for a number of years. And what they wanted to do was increase the size of the store, which quite frankly, I'm not quite sure why the city gets involved in that. And they wanted to renew their beer and wine license, but they wanted to add the spirit part of it, so they had a full service alcohol line. We had no problem with them increasing the size of their store. It's nice that they were growing. It was nice that they were getting bigger and better. We had no problem with the beer and wine license because they had a very good record with it. But we did have a problem with the spirit license because of a number of reasons. There's a liquor store across the street. Number two, there are 45 beer and wine and mostly liquor stores in and immediately touching Lake Balboa. So there are 45 places that you can buy alcohol within Lake Balboa. The furthest distance from any house in Lake Balboa to a beer and wine and spirit shop is a half mile. The other thing, so it made no sense. It doesn't make sense to add more. And also it would punish the liquor store across the street because some people would go to the grocery store to buy their liquor rather than over to the liquor store. And we have a responsibility to take care of and help the residents as well as the businesses in Lake Balboa. And we did not feel that this was an asset to either the residents or to the liquor store across the street. And it was the recommendation of the Land Use Committee to the Neighborhood Council that they accept 1 and 2 or approve 1 and 2 and no to the spirits. And the Neighborhood Council did the same. They recommended to District 6, to the Council District 6, that they approve the size of the building. They approve the beer and wine based on their history, but no to the liquor. So that was back in the fall. Since then, we have received information that they had gone and tried to get approval with the police department, which is fine. But they ran into a couple of problems with the police department in that there was 2 concerns that they and the police department haven't been able to work out at this point. And since we have voted, there's really nothing more for us to do, especially if the police have not, if they and the police have not worked out their concerns. And it's not normal for the neighborhood council to reverse itself but I wanted to bring everybody this evening just to get an update of where everything was going, to see if there was any movement with the police department. And so it's basically a discussion and a listening period. And representing them today is Javed. Did I say it right?
Japjit.
How bad did I say it?
Before we go any further, I'd like to acknowledge that Karen Schatz joined the meeting at 7:20 PM. You now have quorum.
Oh, good. Not that we have-
Japjit, you have your hand raised.
Yes, I am. I just want to clarify, I think there's a misunderstanding on the police part, because we went to meet them. We didn't have any disagreement. They told us that when it comes to the meeting, we are more than welcome to join and speak for us. They said they're willing to speak at the meeting for us. So I don't know, when we were there, they said we had no problem with what was going on. And they said that at this point, we just have to go on with the process. And when the time comes, which I think is next month, I think the meeting, they said that you can tell them to invite and they will speak for us on, to show support. But they said they could not change the original the form that they said because it's already been submitted. And second thing I want to say is that, originally when it was first voted, the person that was filing it, I think in the city or whoever did the process, they processed this as a new license. It's not a new license. It was a store that we lost due to the land being sold, and the developers came in and they kicked everybody out. So we lost our, it was a hard time for us and we lost our income. But the thing is, the license still stays under your name, even though they take your license away. So now after some time, we were able to locate another store in Van Nuys that's just a beer and wine. And we wanted to transfer the same old license that we lost our store and transfer it here so we can get back and, so we don't have to financially suffer as we did when we lost the store. And other thing about liquor stores being in every corner, I understand that, but there's so many people, people like to have choice of where they want to go. So having more or less liquor store doesn't, to a point, I don't think it makes that much of a difference, because if a certain person likes a certain place, they're gonna go no matter how far or near the place is. And and like Tom said, the guy across the street, you don't want his business affected and stuff like that. But I just have one store. The other guy across the street, he has 20 plus stores. So I don't think it's gonna affect him too much there. And the only reason we requested this meeting or whatever, the discussion period, is because initially it started off as a new license. When you guys voted, what went out that it's a brand new license, which is not. So that's why I'm here to say, it's not a new license. It's an old license that we were forced, we got kicked out, and now we're just trying to recover from all that. And there's always a need. People should always have a choice. And before I came in, there were so many problems in this neighborhood, all the alcohol and everything else that people used to sit around and all that. And you can ask the police, they agreed that they don't have problems like they did before. I kicked out people that are causing problems, because my thing is, I want to be a center for the community. Yes, I'm a business I want to make money, but I also work with my heart. I understand it's not a popular, business model, whatever you want to call it, but I want like my store to be center of whatever they need. And liquor is a necessity to certain people, to their lifestyle, or however you might want to see it. But it's part of the, community, and I respectfully disagree that there's too many liquor stores. Every liquor store owner, every liquor store, Vibrant Energy is different, and people, no matter, even if it's right next to your house, if they don't like it, they will go across 4 more streets or 4 more, wherever they like to go. And the last 3-4 years here, this is what I built. I built my clientele. I weeded out the bad people, all the ones that used to drink. I kicked them out. I They're not allowed in my store. These are the things that business people will never do. They just turn a blind eye and take the money and be like, oh well. I'm not that type of person, because I want good people to come in my store. I want people to feel safe. So for the past 3-4 years, I've kicked all these people out, and everything that they used to drink, I got rid of, or I raised prices just to avoid them coming in and making them go elsewhere. And I think that as a business person, I don't think most people would want to go the path that I'm doing, because I'm taking a loss. But I just want good people in the store. I don't need the drunks. I don't need the people that are not doing so well in life for whatever reason it might, it be. So, I'm kind of, it's just, I think my process, or whenever the meeting was or the voting was, I think it started unfair for me, because it was portrayed as a new license. And now I'm stuck with that decision. I did not know better at that time.
Thank you. We have a question from Steve Leffert.
Okay.
Where was your previous store that you got kicked out of?
It was in Chatsworth.
So totally different neighborhood. And I mean, even a different council member's district.
Yes.
And there's
Okay.
also, when you want to transfer a license from one location to another, I think you have a limited amount of time to do the transfer. I think we had some issues even with Vallarta Market, where they wanted to move their license from the old store to the new one. And I think they had to take out a new license.
Well, no,
So-
we checked all that. We talked with ABC. We were still paying the fees for it, and right before they told us that we had your time was running out, we were fortunate enough to find a store and apply for it. So I mean, to the best of my knowledge, we checked with them, and they said you're completely within the limit.
And you have something in writing to that effect?
Well, the guy that's doing this, he is talking with them, and we're not directly doing it. We have a person that's doing all the paperwork for us, and that's what I was told. Because when we first applied it, they made a mistake from the city people. The city people, when they put in the computer, they're the one that made the mistake, and then they told us, oh no, this was filed wrong. We had to redo the whole thing. So that's why it took longer than it's supposed to.
Okay.
Tom?
Yeah. Do you own the store now, or does somebody else own the store, or is it the same owner for the last 10 years?
No, this is a complete new ownership. My mom and my mother and I, we own this store. We're new here.
How long have you owned it?
I think this is my third year, going on fourth.
Uh-huh.
But it was pretty bad when I came, sir. There was no way that people didn't want to come. They're very scared to come here because of all the drunks. There used to be naked people all around here walking around. It was a pretty bad place. I don't want to, pound on my own chest, but I did a lot of work. I kicked them out. You know, I've been losing money for a lot of years now because I I am not always about the money. I want people to feel safe, and I want them to be think as me as a friend, you know. And more, you know, I want to say more than maybe 70-80% of the people are regulars, and I see them before work, after work, and after dinner. Like we say our good mornings and good nights, and then we come back and we're like, oh, it's like you never left. So it's like a big family kind of thing now. But it took so long, and you know, to clear up the store and get rid of this, that I'm not playing around. You know, I'm not the person. I'm not the old owner. You know, so I cleared out all that mess that was going on for 20 years in the last 4 years. And, you know, and when I went to the police, they completely agreed with what I was saying, that there's a big difference between now the new owner than the older ownership, because they never did anything. They sold it and they didn't care. But I tell the police, when I think the senior lead was Fuentes here when I first came in, I told them, tell me what you want. We're going to get rid of these people and we're going to make this place better for everybody else. Nobody wants little kids. And then you see these people on whatever they're on, you know, walking around naked. And, you know, I don't feel like that. Nobody, no grandma wants to walk her grandchild with, you know, people like blocking their way and all over the sidewalks and stuff like that, you know.
Yes,
So
thank you. Thank you. So Tom, what do you want to do?
What do I want to do? At this juncture, I just wanted to bring everybody up to date with the thinking, with his thinking, and with his message. At this point, until there's a public, until police and they agree on everything, there's nothing for us to do. And I'm only keeping the activity moving forward because if the police department and they agree on the conditions of the police department, then it will go to a public hearing. And if down the road they prove that their story is correct and everybody is concerned with it, we could take it back to the community and get the community and the land use committee re-involved. And if we think it's necessary or would serve a purpose, then we could take a new vote. But at this point, we're just here to listen. He has brought his message to us, and at this point, we have nothing to vote for because we don't. We voted on the application that was sent to us. We don't have a new application. We do not have the support of the police department. So until we have the police department and the application, we really can't do anything voting wise on the project. I just wanted to bring him in, let him talk, and so that we know where we are with the whole thing as the process could move forward.
Okay, so then we're on number 6.
Yeah. Number 6. Discussion of Purple Haze shops. Gary Kay was going to make a presentation on that. He had discussed it with me to a degree, and his concern was that the Purple Haze or Gaze, whatever it is, we're opening up shops very close to the high schools and junior highs in our neighborhood, and I suspect in other neighborhoods as well. And he was interested in trying to find out how we could prevent this from happening. Unfortunately, at this moment in life, there is nothing we can do because those shops are legal. They don't come to us. They don't come to planning. They just open the doors because they're zoned. They're in a zoned area for retail stores. I had suggested to him that he come tonight and talk, and we can have an open discussion on the matter. But at some point, we need more involvement than one person. I know Gwen wants to be involved, so no more, we need more than two people involved at this point before we can do anything. We're not hearing anything from the school or schools that are involved. We haven't heard anything from the police to any extent. And we haven't heard a lot from the community. So I understand where he's coming from. I tend to agree with what his thoughts are. But this would be a massive movement that would not only involve Lake Balboa and Council Office 6, it would have to be a movement that involved the city council, and there would have to be a lot of discussion as what can and can't be done and how close you can be to a school, et cetera, et cetera. And so this would be a long process to get through. But
Steve has a question or comment.
Yeah, for some reason, I'm thinking that there was a regulation as to distance from schools and parks, things like that. But was that before all of the marijuana became legal for more than just medical marijuana?
I think, well, I'm not sure exactly what the laws are against them. In theory, alcohol has to be 500 feet from the schools. These shops are not 500 feet. Alcohol and marijuana are the same thing in the sense that it gives you a high, or in my case, a low. But anyways, it gives you a high. It alters your mental thinking. So the laws should be the same. So I'm guessing they are the same, but at the same time, if they are not, maybe those regulations should be put in place. Someone has to address it.
Viana, do you know anything about the regulations for pot shops?
Huh?
He's
You
asking
know what?
Anna.
Not off the top of my head, but I was just doing some quick Googling, and it looks like Santa Clara County has been able to put a 500 to 1,000 foot ban for this type of thing. So I'm definitely interested, and we'll look into it.
Thank you. Gwen has her hand raised, and so does Karen. Gwen?
So I'm not sure what, it's a Purple Haze, I think it's called a smoke shop. So it could be marijuana, but it could be other stuff that they're promoting as a product. And maybe we need to find out exactly what their product is. But so I wanted to make that comment. And in terms of it being a long haul,
Starts with one step.
it does start with one step. And, you know, is there some other urgent matter that we need to be spending all of our energy on? I mean, I think it's something that we could possibly take on if it's agreeable to the committee for however long it takes. I mean, it's not like, you know, we're involved in a lot of activities that's gonna
Let's roll up our
all
sleeves.
of our energy. And, you know, and time is going anyway. But we want to protect our neighborhood and our children especially. And these folks seem to be targeting, as I said, and I think it was Karen who brought it to this committee's attention in the beginning. But they seem to be targeting schools from middle, high schools through to college. Because I've seen those shops near Northridge, as I said, I think the last time we talked about this. And if we can have some kind of influence, I know that most of them are located within, what do you call them, those mini malls?
Yeah.
So I know that they don't come to planning's attention, but maybe there's something we can do to, you know, to restrict or limit, you know, their proximity to the students. And maybe Deanna can help us navigate that.
Thank you. Karen?
Unmute. Karen, you're falling on deaf ears.
Unmute, sorry. I think this, I've never been in there, although I get my hair done 2 doors over, but I think that they sell pipes and cigarettes and papers. I don't actually think they sell marijuana there. I mean, it's not a pot shop, but you know, we could maybe all agree that cigarette smoking may be worse than any of the things. So it's it's I'm surprised that there's no laws that disallow a shop like that to be so close to a school. I mean, I'm kind of shocked about it, but
I think it's a vape shop, and in the very beginning
Oh,
of
maybe,
the,
yeah.
yeah, in the beginning of school year, they were advertising on their window bubblegum vape and all that kind of stuff. So that's definitely not for a senior.
Right.
Vienna has her hand raised, and then Steve.
Brianna, you're muted.
Here we
Sorry
go.
about that. I just called right now. They said that they do not sell marijuana and they do not sell tobacco, and they're a tobacco accessory shop is what they call themselves.
Oh. Okay, Steve.
Yeah, I just looked up their things online and vape products. So that's, but I think that the state's working on some laws about the flavored stuff that attract kids. And the other thing, they sell CBD products, which are legal. And, you know, you can't restrict them any more than you can the supermarket selling cigarettes. So I think that's where it stands right now. It's just a matter of what kinds of products, you know, to entice kids to get into vaping. And I think there's state or federal action on the flavored stuff. They want to raise the age limit to 21. I don't know.
Well, I agree with Gwen. I think that we should roll up our sleeves and figure out what we can do, because it's enticing to young people. And I don't necessarily think I would have gone in, because I was always afraid of everything. But now that I'm wiser than I was as a kid, bubblegum sounds really interesting to me. And you know, that's why the Camel Joe, was it, came off the packages of Camel cigarettes, because it was enticing for young kids. So I see that this is a potential problem that maybe we can do something about. So I'd like to ask Deanna to work with us and see what we can do, what kind of legislation there is in place, and then see what it is that we could wrap our hands around, and see if we can say, hey, we started that movement.
Should we get a committee together to walk into the store and see what they got?
And buy it up.
Well, next time I get my hair done, which unfortunately is every 3 weeks, I will go in and see what's going on in there.
That'd be great. Because
Thank you.
before you can fight anything, you gotta know what you're fighting. And I think it would be great if somebody went in and got back to us the next couple of months as to what their findings are and what's in the store. Because if we don't want to go out and start a fight over this when that is the problem, if there is a problem in the first place. So I think we have to investigate what they are marketing and selling before we can go out there and build a case.
Okay, so Karen will report back.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So we're on number 7.
Number 7, it's getting dark in here. Hang on a second. These are. That worked. Number 7 is properties that have pulled demo permits. And they come from building and safety, they don't come from planning. And they basically don't give you very much information. The only thing that we can do, the only things we can do is, number 1, look up what the address is, not the number per se, but what's on the property. And then on the demo letter, there's a phone number and a name of a person. And my experience has been to call them, and generally speaking, they will tell you what their plans are. Now, we don't do anything about voting or discussion with it because it hasn't gone through city, it hasn't gone through the planning department, and we don't have an application, and we only work with applications. But the reason this is important is A, it's going to tell us why they are doing this, and B, it makes us aware as community reps as to what's going on in the community. So it's valuable to have the information. It's helpful to call the name at the bottom of the page and ask them. And they, as I say, generally they will tell you what the long range plans are. And sometimes you can guess from looking it up on Google as to what's happening. As an example, the 16,400 Van Owen is an apartment building. So are they going to add more to it or knock something down? This, we have to give them a call. 17040 Balta, that's a house. Well, they're gonna knock the garage down and probably put up an ADU or 2. Again, it's I haven't called, so I'm just guessing at it. Valjean evidently is an area with some small office buildings. Most likely they're going to tear those down and put up a 2 or 3 or 4-story building. Whether it's office or warehouse, etc., it still requires a phone call. And then 16419 on Victory, there are apartments on either side. It appears to be mostly vacant land. We can assume that whatever is on there is going to disappear, and they're going to try to put up apartments, which they should have little problem doing because there's one on the left and one on the right. So it's just a way of keeping up of what may be coming down the road. And so it helps us in our discussions with the community and within ourselves when a project shows up, not one of these, but something in the area of these properties, to get an idea or a feel for where that area of the community appears to be going. And it will help us make good decisions as to what should or shouldn't go in there and what could or can't go in there.
Tom,
So-
do you get this list from the city or do you look it up, or how do you get this information?
This building and safety sends us, neighborhood council, well, they send it to Alan, he's more important than us. But they send us a letter from building and safety saying demo work will be permitted for a given address. It does not say what that demo work
Okay.
is. But it gives a phone number at the bottom, a name and a phone number, and if you call that number and name, generally speaking, they will tell you what the long-range plans for that property are.
I sent you 3 more yesterday.
That just means you're a popular guy. You get all this mail.
Okay, very good. So then we're on to number 8, public comment. Are
Is
you
this
done with,
My divorce?
pardon me?
Is this where I discuss my divorce?
Oh, no, you're moving out of town. It's okay. Karen,
Oh, ah.
muted. Karen's muted.
Since I missed the beginning of the meeting, can someone just quickly tell me what the Haynes Walkway is?
What the heck?
We can do that offline.
Okay,
Um,
thank you.
Is there any other questions? Rudy?
Thank you, Linda. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say hello, and I think this is my first time to join this particular committee meeting, and it's always fascinating to learn about the issues that are important to our community. So I appreciate learning from you all. And I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Any other
Thoughts?
public
feelings,
comments?
desires? Questions, concerns? Well, in that case, it's been great.
All
Have a-
right,
Right.
Listen, can I ask a question?
sure.
So has there a decision been made about who will chair this committee when Tom steps down in July?
Yes, it's Miguel.
Oh, good, okay.
The torch is
Yes,
being
Miguel.
turned over. Yeah, we voted
Yes.
a couple months ago. We didn't want to leave us in the lurch.
Definitely, and I didn't see the vote on that, so, and I thought of him because he has the planning background, right?
That's right.
Oh, good.
Hooray for
Yeah,
us.
that-
Sorry, Tom.
I like that building in his background, UCLA Royce Hall, right?
Very good. Okay, I'll stop the recording. The meeting is officially over. And it is 7:53. Karen, you can stay on.